Hey, what's up, my Tacoma friends? My name is Alex, and welcome back to my channel, Tacoma Mozzella. And in today's video, I will be installing rock sliders onto my 2019 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. But before I can do that, I need to uninstall the step bars that were installed by my dealer. And I hope I don't have to jack it up in order to remove it. So stick around and let's do this step by step together. After taking a peek, it appears that the step bar is being held up using three brackets that are positioned in the front, the back, and the middle. And within each bracket, there are two bolts. And I'm just going to use my 13mm socket with my impact gun. And I'm also using my jack to support the step bar, so as soon as I remove the bolts, it won't fall off, as I'm doing this by myself. So this is going to come in handy. So let's undo the bolts and take it from there. It didn't take long to remove the step bars, and now that both are out of the way, our next step is to install our new rock sliders. We can now prep the chuck to be able to install our rock sliders. However, I'm a little bit disappointed with the hardware that it came with, as these ones came unpainted. And although these are zinc coated, because of our exposure to salt during wintertime, I'd like to paint them first. And luckily I have a can of spray white trim pad paint. White is all I got, but that will do the trick, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so after giving our mounting plates 4 coats of spray paint, this is what we ended up with, and I'm pretty pleased with the result. Came out really nice. Matches the truck, but you won't be able to see it from underneath there, so that is a moot point. But anyway, as far as the hardware is concerned, I've laid them all out here and split them into two. You should have the same exact amount of pieces to cover the driver's side and the passenger side. So what we have here are the nuts and bolts for the step plate, but we will be installing these last. So we can put that on the side for now. We have some square nuts. We have 1¼ inch bolts, 1½ inch bolts, 2½ inch, and 3-inch bolts. And we have the corresponding washers and lock nuts for each one of these. And we also have spacers over here. As far as tools are concerned, we have a whole set of wrench, impact gun, ratcheting wrench would be ideal, of course. We have safety glasses, gloves, and some lighting, and also some prying tools over there. And I also have a crawler here to make it a little easier to be crawling in and out from underneath the truck. We have all the tools and the parts that we need. Let's get cracking. Now that we've taken out everything that we need to take out on the driver's side, I'm just going to give it a little wipe to clean it up a little bit before we install the sliders. Now that we have the driver's side all prepped up, let's put together a front backing plate assembly. And you need one of these with a square hole and also a square nut. And all you got to do is slide it in and give it a squeeze. There you have it. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the passenger side as well. Now we're ready to put the slider in place. Let's take one of these front plates and drop it into the cross member. So ensure that the nut is facing up, and all you got to do is sort of maneuver it in and just let it drop there. So it will drop down naturally, and we will put that in place once we're ready to bolt it on. Now we're ready to position the driver's side slider into place, and I could ask one of my boys to help me lift this thing up, but I want to show you how it can be done without the aid of somebody else. So our aid in this case is my trusty old 3-ton jack, and let's put it in place. Use jack stands for support. Using the 14mm bolt that we took out, I had to clean it with a steel brush because it was a little rusty, and I've applied some Loctite, and let's put it back into place. So our 14mm bolt is in place. Make sure not to tighten it all the way. We want to make sure that it's just holding the slider temporarily into place, so we can maneuver it a little bit if we need to while we're placing the other plates and the other bolts. Next step, we need to install 3 1.5-inch bolts, and we have 3 points of installation here. Number 1, this hole right here. Number 2, right here. And this is our 14mm bolt for reference. And there's one back here. Hope you can see that right there. So our assembly goes washer, goes in from outside, and then in between the membrane, you'll put the plate and the lock nut. So this configuration applies to the middle one and the back one. For the front, we have to do it the reverse. So we need to put the bolt from inside going out. So the assembly is bolt, washer, plate, and then push it through the membrane, and the lock washer will be tightened from outside. So again, our front one will have this configuration, and install it from behind going on. Now let's assemble our clamps. And as you can see here, we have two different sizes. We have the 3-inch and two of the 2.5 inches. And we also have two sizes of the spacers. The taller one goes with the 3-inch and the two shorter ones go with the 2.5-inch bolts. So these two go in the front and the middle, and the longer one goes to the back. So the configuration is bolt, washer, you slide this into the rock slider, spacer, clamp with this pointing down, washer, and then bolt. So the installation points are front, middle, and then back. We'll go ahead and do the other two. Oh, sorry. It looks like Kobe wants to join us with the installation here. Say hi, Kobe. Okay, get out of here. Come on, buddy. Get out of here. I gotta do this install. Sorry, guys. Move, Kobe. Come on. Okay, so next we'll set up our handles, and basically we need a square nut, well, two square nuts. The top part of this nut should be level to this handle. So all you got to do is the same as our front plate. You take one of these, squeeze it into place, and it should slide left to right. Do the same for the other hole. Squeeze into place. So now let's install it into place. So now we take our handle, slide it into place. And we'll use the handle to maneuver it into place so we can align the bolt from the other side. So that was the hardest part of the install so far. And now the next step is to bolt down the plate that we slid into this over here. So there is a hole on this side, and we will use this to maneuver the plate into place. And using a 1.5 inch bolt, just thread it through. There you go. Next, before we can put back our black box, let's go ahead and tighten the 14mm bolt right in the center of the frame. Okay, next step is to put back our brake lines and the black box in place. But before we can do that, we need to tighten up the bolt that we installed in reverse from inside to out. So using a 3/4 socket, see if we can find a spot here in the back. Just need to work our way around the brake lines. Just go ahead and tighten this up. So now we can push back our brake line. And bolt this back on. Our next step is to tighten the bolts, but before we do that, we just want to make sure that the slider is level, and we can check that by measuring. So this is the front of the slider right now, and we are at 2 inches exactly to the top of that bracket to mount the step plates on. And let's go over to the back. And we are at, if we can focus, slightly over 2 inches. So I'm just gonna push the slider up a little bit. And there you go. Let's check the front again. 2 inches. There you have it. So now we can go ahead and tighten the bolts. So in order to put this tray back into its place, we need to cut out a good portion of it. So basically, I cut out that much off of it, and didn't seem to fit properly still. So I'm gonna cut out a little bit more. And that should do it. So I just want to give you a little visual here of that tray that we just cut out, and now it fits perfectly. It's a good thing I painted those brackets white, as it gives you a better visual. So by cutting it out, it gives us room to make this bracket fit through it. And all we got to do now is tighten these 2 bolts right here, this one and this one, and we're good to go. So I've tightened down all the nuts and bolts. Next step is to install the step plate, and we'll move on to the passenger side. So we're all done the driver's side. Up next is the passenger side, and let's get to that one. Now we are ready to prep the passenger side. This is going to be a lot simpler compared to the driver's side, so let's go ahead and check out what we need to do. Okay, so basically there's just two things that we need to deal with here. There's a housing that covers some wire harnesses, and same as the driver's side, we also have this two caps right over here that we need to pry out, and that's pretty much it. So we need our 10mm for this, and there's one up here. And now there's a couple of bolts that we need to take out, and these are 12mm. There you go. Just get that out of the way. So now that those are out, we'll give it a quick wipe just like what we did on the other side. Next is we'll take out that 14mm bolt right here, and then we'll give it a wipe just like what we did on the driver's side, and we're ready to mount the passenger side rock slider. Okay, so before we maneuver the rock slider into place, we'll slide one of these in, the front back plate, into the cross member, same way we did on the driver's side. Similarly to the driver's side, we have the same exact hardware to install and same mounting locations, starting with the 1/2-inch bolts and plates, and then onto the clamps and the front handles. So we're going to go ahead and install those in that sequence, and we'll just speed things up a little bit here. All the nuts and bolts are in place. Next step is to tighten everything, and it's the same sequence as the driver's side, and we'll put everything back into place, install the step plate, and we're all done. One note to make is that everything that you took out will have to go back, with the exception of the plastic caps. We're all done with the nuts and bolts. Everything's tightened down. Last thing to do is cut out a notch on this plastic cap. Same thing that we did on the driver's side, so it'll fit through with the installed front handles. and we'll install the step plate, and that would be it for the install. One final thing, in order for this housing to fit back into place, we need to cut out a notch right here, just to the left of that lower screw hole, and gotta cut it all the way up, just like so. And also this rounded corner here, just cut it diagonally, and just like that. Let's just do a walk around video of our install. View from the back. So there you have it, guys, another installation complete, and this is for the Apex Fabworks Rock Sliders, and I got these from Cali Raced LAD, and as usual I'll be posting the links to the products on my description below. I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down on the comment section below, and I hope that I can help you out with any of your questions. Again, to my subscribers, thank you for following me as usual, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you would consider doing so, and I hope to catch you on the next video. But for now, if you can be anything, you might as well be nice.